gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Luetkemeyer, is recognized for 5 minutes, the chair of the National Security Subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Chairman Powell, for being here this morning. The reserve currency status of the dollar to the U.S. has enormous financial and national security benefits. In the wake of Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine, the Fed took action to prevent the Kremlin from accessing more than $300 billion in reserves, roughly half of Russia's reserves. However, this led to an accelerated effort by countries like China to de-dollarize their official foreign exchange reserves. Just last week, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal titled, "Russia Turns to the Yuan," in an effort to ditch the dollar. Not only that, but China's President Xi Jinping pushed for the settlement of energy trades in the Chinese yuan at a summit with Arab leaders in December. The question is, are you concerned about these actions by Russia and China to establish different reserves and conduct transactions in non-U.S. dollars?
So the U.S. dollar is the widely accepted and really the only serious candidate for the world's principal reserve currency, and that's because of our democratic institutions, our liquid markets, the rule of law, and all those kinds of things, and also the fact that the dollar has held its value over time. So other countries who are competing on other playing fields may want to establish different currencies, but really the dollar is the one that's going to be used more broadly in international commerce because we have those aspects and other countries don't.
Well, that's true to now, but my question is, are you concerned about the actions of these countries because if they see themselves being challenged or are concerned? For instance, if China would invade Taiwan, as Russia invaded Ukraine, there were some sanctions put on, and I don't disagree with the sanctions. The last time you were here, though, Mr. Chairman, I asked a question because it's an instructive moment for us from the standpoint that knowing that we put sanctions on Russia, all other different accounts, as well as the oligarchs from that country, are we thinking about doing the same thing to China when they invade Taiwan? And your answer at that point was no. We passed a bill out of this committee last week to ask the administration, basically, to start thinking about that in those terms. What kind of situations can you come up with? Are you talking to allies, begin to talk to them, to start putting together a list of how you would go about sanctioning the different individuals, the different accounts, things like that? So have you started thinking about that at all yet?
Well, let me say, the business of sanctions is entirely in the hands of the elected government and the Treasury Department. We are an implementer as it relates to banks. That's it.
Yeah, but we're going to take your advice on different aspects of this, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry?
We're going to take your advice on the different aspects of this.
Well, I mean, honestly, when the sanctions were being put in place, Treasury was doing it. We weren't doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it works.
Next question. There was an article, again, in one of the political newspapers yesterday, I guess it was, and it talked about the problem that we have here with the Fed's balance sheet. It says it now appears similar to a hedge fund whose long-term assets are financed by short-term borrowing, and the bottom line is that it's going to cost money. The Fed now has a negative income as a result of having to do this. And so it says here that the Fed will simply borrow the money to pay the bills. Is this true? That the Fed's losing money right now as a result of the way you've got these debt borrowings that you've purchased structured?
The place I would start is that the Fed has, we always turn over all of our earnings in every year. We turn them over on an ongoing basis, and we've turned over something like $1.2 trillion in earnings just in the last, decade or so. So we always know that when we raise interest rates,
okay,
you're going to lose money. And
okay,
of course,
but you agree with the point that we have a negative income right now.
That's
and
right.
This makes my point to my next question, or my concern is, the CFPB gets their money. The CFPB gets their money to run their agency from the Fed.
That's right.
So basically, there's no money for the Fed to pay the CFPB's bills if this is the case, unless you continue to borrow, which is basically what's going to happen now, is you're going to have to borrow money to be able to pay the CFPB's bills. Is that not correct?
No, we don't borrow money. We issue, basically, yes, we don't shut down the Fed when we have negative income.
Okay.
We can pay our bills and we can pay.
So my follow-up question then is, do you do any accountability or assessing of the CFPB's spending of these dollars at all?
No, we don't.
So they just get a
Inspector
blank
General
check. You just told me they just got a blank check. They send you a bill, you send them a check. There's no accountability for them.
I think there are limits built into the law, which I don't have in the front of my head.
I have yet to see a limit, Mr. Chairman. I'd love to see what the limits are because I don't think that they've ever agreed that they have that. But I see my time is up. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.